outlook. Thank you for joining us. We've gotten a start to the week and we continue now and we go to the pandemic, COVID-19. And every time I think that we are thinking as a society about what we have to do, you and I see things and I read things that trouble. Dr. Zulfikar Brooks, emergency medicine specialist at the Georgetown Public Hospital, came out with a common sense and re-emphasized again. This man has been doing this, and various government agency heads have been doing this, medical experts have been doing this. He said in a recent article that was headlined, "Risky gatherings can help COVID-19 thrive." Risky gatherings can help COVID-19 to thrive, and urges the public to adhere to simple but effective precautions. I think the reaction to that has been mixed, as we have seen in our daily lives, whether we live here or we live in America. What has been happening, and a couple of days ago, I went to the church, to the midday mass, and on the way home, I passed through Thomas Street. And along Thomas Street in Cummingsburg, there were a couple of shops. In one shop, which is very popular and usually well attended, there were about 25 people in there. Must have been buying puri and chana and the usual Guyanese fare. But in front of the shop, on the outside, there were 2 to 3 tables with men sitting in the usual fashion. And there were bottles in front of them. And there wasn't sodas. They weren't about sodas. These were beer bottles or Guinness bottles. And 4 men at one table, I remember that distinctly, and another 3 or 4 at the other because the taxi was moving. And they were not quite elbow to elbow, they were not 6 feet apart. So I'm saying to myself, this doctor's words and everybody else's words, maybe this program, the words from these things and the thinking behind them, the wisdom involved in them, they're falling on deaf ears to an extent that alarms. Because when I think of those gentlemen drinking in the middle of the day, in the middle of town, this is what comes to mind. They are going to go into a minibus, some form of public transportation, and they are going to involve other people. Notice I didn't say infect, because they may not be carriers, but who knows that? We don't know it until it's detected. This is quite unlike, in some respects, the flu, where you're fevered early and you're congested and you're aching all over. You may be carrying the thing and don't even know. It may be late in developing. Look, there are some things that we just have to do, and we are not doing them, right? And we're going to pay a price for that. I disagreed, and I hate to sound negative here, with the reopening of schools. I understand that there were 30 cases in some dormitories, some outlying dormitories. Now, it wasn't a regular school, and those children have been quarantined. I think that was the wrong move and it came at the wrong time. So here's what we need as government, as a society, as individuals, to do our part. How many times do we have to say this? And because so much is involved, I do not mind repeating some of the topics that I've talked about before. We cannot stop talking about COVID. We cannot stop talking about the implications of the virus. A vaccine, Pfizer, could be very, very near, but we are not going to get that. The US, the UK, the EU, Japan, Australia, and Canada have already locked down those supplies. Moderna has come up with a vaccine, or close to it, and you may get several hundred million more doses, but it's going to take a long time to trickle down to us. Those folks have the money and the clout, and so we are left behind. We need, therefore, to do what we can do to follow the experts' guidance and take care of ourselves, take care of our loved ones, take care of our friends. Until the next time, GHK Lall on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. Thank you for joining us on the National Outlook.